All right, you are now tuned into the Rotated Views podcast. I am your host, Jimmylee Velez. I'm here with Gabe, Goose, and Algernon Hall. Influence Part 2. In this episode, we have special guest Algernon Hall. The crew discusses influence and the power of behavior. We talk about leadership, dream building, influencing the youth, effects of the coronavirus, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Deepak Chopra and Ken Blanchard. Guys, if you're new, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to download and subscribe. We drop a new episode every Tuesday morning for your listening pleasure. Kicking things off, we want to thank you guys for sticking out with us during this coronavirus outbreak. And we have taken a whole new approach on the recording of the podcast. We are doing this currently via Zoom. So everyone is at their respective locations, home offices, living rooms, what have you. With that being said, please give us if there is any background noise, dogs, kids. We're doing the best that we can to still provide the best content that we possibly can. And we understand that the sound quality is not, as we usually have it, but it's not too bad considering the elements that we're dealing with, and we're just glad we can actually, again, bring you guys content. With that being said, Algernon Hall, thank you for joining us, man.
Jimmy, thank you for having me on, man. It's good to be back for episode 197.
Woo!
So 197.
Y'all doing it, man. Y'all doing it.
Crazy.
We had you on about 70 or so episodes ago, episode 122. So that's crazy.
It is. Well, I'm grateful that I was called back. So obviously it was a good episode.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's nothing better than having a solid guest join us, but who also is dropping nuggets that we all can benefit from. So we thank you for your knowledge and happy to have you on again.
No doubt.
So let's jump right into it. Episode 122. For those who have not had the chance to take a listen to that, let them know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so my name's Algernon Hall. I'm the owner and founder of Jimmylee Children's Entertainment LLC. I'm also the founder of the Dreamcatchers program and also AlgernonHall.com. All three of these entities, we have a simple mission, and that's to inspire, empower, and develop people to reach their full potential. Jimmylee Children's Entertainment is for younger children. Dreamcatchers is for middle school and high school. AlgernonHall.com is pretty much for anybody, but predominantly adults.
Perfect. All right, so explain a little bit of Jimmylee Kids and how you got started with that.
Well, so Jimmylee Kids is actually the website, but it's actually Jimmylee Children's Entertainment. But Jimmylee Children's Entertainment was launched in 2008, coming out of a program or entrepreneurship program at my local church. Just was really trying to find my way, find my lane. So through some deep prayer, some soul searching, connecting and identifying my gifts, my talents, my abilities, I discovered and came across building a character education company with a simple mission to go into inner cities and to show kids healthy ways how to deal with everyday problems. Created a character. Actually, a friend of mine actually sketched out a character. In my prayer time, it was very, very clear that the character was to be unique, not a lion, not a bear. And what came to mind was a koala bear. We sketched it out, found a costume maker in Brooklyn, New York, paid $8,500 to have this costume made, something durable, something that I still have since 2008. And started to go out into preschools, elementary schools, putting on these fun choreographed assemblies, if you will, mixed with fun safari tunes, dance, and what we call a character impact thing, showing kids how to handle problems in a positive way.
Yeah, that's awesome. You have a quote on the site: "The ultimate tool and resource for education."
Right.
What is it about having a character entertain through or educate through entertainment?
Well, I think it's one of the things that I focus on with under Jubilee Children's Entertainment when we go into school is we try to teach a non-conventional route, right? So typically, kids learn in a classroom setting. It's quiet and it's interactive. And what we've totally done is we deviated from that. We create a fun learning environment, and we are also teaching in that. So when you talk about being the ultimate tool and resource for educators, since 2008, it started with Jubilee Children's Entertainment, and then we've done literacy programs. We went into providing services for the middle school and the high schools with the Dream Catchers program. And over the last 2 years, what I've done is we've dove into professional development. So now we're conducting workshops with the staff on mindfulness and different topics. So that's what I mean, the ultimate tool for the resource for educators. We can go into a school district and we can reach the whole gamut from kindergarten all the way up to that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know when you work with teenagers, when you're in the high schools, I know that's a bit of a transition. How do you manage? And then even with AlgernonHall.com, I mean, then you're dealing with adults, and they could be, that age group can vary as well. How do you transition? How do you deal with the different age groups?
Well, it's a gift, man. Like I said, it's about finding my lane. But in addition to that, I'm like a chameleon. My gift is communicating. So I can communicate on any level with children, with teens. I can connect with teens. I have a youthful spirit, which allows me to connect. It's also when I go into a school, I'm not suited up. I wear Jordans, I wear jeans, I wear a V-neck tee with a Dream Catchers. So I connect with them from a visual standpoint first, and then when I open my mouth, I'm able to connect with them. For the adults, it's the same thing. I mean, I think with the adults, it's much, much easier because when adults are seeking professional development, it's because they want it. When you're dealing with middle school and high school students,
right.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to be compelling, you have to be engaging, and if you don't catch them within that first minute, you're done.
That's right. That's right. How do you manage so many teenagers? Right. I mean, because I've been part of pep rallies or talks. I remember just them from being in high school. And man, if one group in the back got a little rowdy and started talking, it's really hard for the guy up front to kind of hold their attention. I mean, how do you manage through and navigate through all that?
I've definitely learned it. I've always had that skill set, but number one, you got to be big. Like I said, you got to have a big personality, which I have. What we also do is when we go into an assembly format, all of our assemblies, we have a DJ. So when kids are coming into the auditorium or the gym, we're rocking. They're coming in. It's not a stuffy environment. It's not quiet. It's images up on the screen with affirmations, successful people, hip hop artists, athletes. And then you got me with the Jordans, the jeans, connecting with them from a visual standpoint. And like I said, the key is that first minute. That first minute. It's either you got it or you don't. So again, it's something that I've always had, but I've learned and developed it over the years even more. So now I have different strategies. I might play a spoken word YouTube video. They might come in and there might be a clip from Eric Thomas, E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher. It might be just an image of a set of eyes, and I'm telling a story about this person before we get into the actual talk. It may be an icebreaker. But there's different strategies, in terms of engagement that I've learned over the years to keep them engaged.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's amazing. And it's definitely a gift, obviously.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about Dream Talk and how that's all going?
How did it come about? I'm sorry.
No, wait, are you still doing Dream Talk?
Well, the Dream series, I'm not doing the Dream series, which is my YouTube channel, AlgernonHall.com. But what I've been doing, I'm on episode 5. I'm doing the Dream Catchers virtual experience. That's something that we're not contracted, but to stay engaged with the kids, to keep them excited. I mean, everybody's with the pandemic, everything is flipped upside down. So I just wanted to create a vehicle where I can continue to inspire and empower people.
Absolutely. Before we get into the coronavirus and the pandemic and how it's affected you and your approach to business, what you post a lot of positivity, obviously. We post a lot on social media. Can you explain kind of like your approach or anyone else is trying to promote or market and what your strategy is?
Well, with regards to social media, honestly, I don't have an approach. Most of my posts, well, all of my posts are my own quotes. I used to post different posts from different individuals, but over the last, I guess, 2.5 years, year and a half, 2 years, every post that's up there is my post, and pretty much my post is based upon my feelings, where I'm at. If I'm feeling weary, if I'm feeling tired, if I'm feeling really hyped up and inspired, when you read my post, that's what I'm feeling. So I'm very strategic from the standpoint. I just don't put a quote up. I try to make it engaging. So I might take a image, a quote might be on focus, and I might find a dope picture of Kobe Bryant. It might be a quote based on work ethic, and I find a dope picture of LeBron James. It might be a quote based on perspective, and I find a dope image of glasses looking over the world or something like that. So I think from that standpoint, that's my creative part that comes out. I try to, obviously the content to be tight, but I like to be able to connect the picture so it can tell a story.
Absolutely, that's awesome. All right, so since we've already touched base a tad bit, can you talk a little bit about how the coronavirus COVID-19 has affected you and your current approach as to what your business model is?
Yeah, man. So to be transparent, when it first hit, it really didn't hit me that first week, that Friday when the schools shut down. And this was going to be a huge year for the business. I had just acquired 2 big contracts, and pretty much because of this pandemic, I missed out on probably about like $25,000.
Wow.
So in my mind, I'm like, yo, like what is going on? And I'm thinking, I'm hoping that this thing gonna be over like mid-April. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Then, but quickly after I settled down, and as entrepreneurs, I really firmly believe that entrepreneurs are problem solvers. And what I started to do is I started to think from the perspective of how can I remain relevant? See, the thing is that most people right now that are vendors, that are providers that's going into the school, they shut down. They're not providing they can't provide any service because the schools, they aren't paying. But the other thing is that a lot of these providers are they're not doing anything because the school system stopped. So my whole mindset changed. I said, how can I stay relevant? Number 2, how can I stay connected? And what edge can I get in the midst of this pandemic that when this thing is lifted, or even if it does not lift, how can I position myself where I can capture opportunities? And what I did was the virtual experiences. So with Jimmylee, I started doing Read with Jimmylee. So Jimmylee's in a costume and he's reading. And initially what it was is I would send an email out to providers. I got a bunch of principal email addresses. He's reading. We got an intro video. We got an outro video. He's reading a story for about 10 minutes. We're staying engaged. The Dreamcatchers, this is really dope because we got a DJ. It's on Zoom. And, it's 5 minutes of the DJ playing the songs that the kids love, the Jersey Club, the hip hop, the R&B, and it's what I call a power talk. We got a power talk, and I even had a hip hop dancer on a couple of episodes. And this way, what I'm doing is I'm still providing a service. I'm doing it for free because I love it. But what it's also doing is, you know what? If this pandemic does not lift, I can approach school in September and say, you know what? Because the kids, they still need support. They still need something outside of, that's why our participant count is so high, because they're bored out of their minds. They're in the house, they're in front of the screen, they can't go outside. So what can I bring? How can I bring that excitement or create this fun learning environment for them while they're at home? So I firmly believe that with this, not only is it going to give me an advantage locally, but now, guys, from a virtual standpoint, I can get business in Atlanta. I can get business in California. I can get business internationally. So with the virtual experience, with perfecting it, with surveys that I have strategically at the end to show us what we can do better. And as we continue to improve, I'm confident that we can approach principals and directors in August and in July saying, hey, we got this virtual experience. And they could say, well, how does it look? Now I got these Zoom calls recorded with the attendance and the chats and everything like that. Now I got surveys because I got data now, right? Now I can say, this is the amount of kids that are showing up on these calls, these weekly calls, and here are the surveys, and this is what they're saying. 80% or 85% of the kids are saying that it's making a difference in and the strategies that we're given is making a difference in their lives. So that's my approach in this pandemic, to stay relevant, to take advantage of now. It's not a time to sit and woe is me. And now's the time that, the world has slowed down. Now it's the time, in my opinion, in my eyes, to pull that gift, that idea, that vision that we put on the back burner, that book that we were writing, that we tucked us away, that those notes that we were doing with all those witty ideas and all those witty inventions that we had, that we said that we didn't have time for, right? Now we got time. Now we got time to sit, to strategize, to focus, to pray more, to really get things in order, to prioritize and birth those things that we have inside of us out, so the world can get a piece of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know one of the big things we've talked about in the last several weeks, episodes on the podcast is creativity, right? And I believe everyone's creative is just in their own, way, and it's up to each individual to tap into that, whatever creativity, means to them. But it is a time where we start re-looking at all of our processes, and like you said, some of the things that we had in the back burner, but more importantly, making sure you are in alignment. Don't just let this time pass. Like you said, no, what was me? Make sure at very minimum you're setting yourself up to catapult soon as all this stuff, recovers.
Yeah. Yo, man. So to piggyback on that, like, here's the deal, right? So, like, now is all about taking advantage of now in every aspect, from the mental perspective, from the physical perspective, from the spiritual perspective, and from the emotional perspective. When we are doing this thing called life, the ripping and running, the commutes, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't got time for stuff, but now we got time. Now the world has slowed down. If we don't come out of this thing better, it's a problem. And it's all about perspective, right? 90% of life is how we deal with it. 10% is life, is what happens to us. 90% of life is how we deal with it. So my question and my charge to the listeners are, in the midst of this pandemic, like, how are you responding to this pandemic? Like, how are you becoming better? Like, how are you becoming sharper? Like, how are you improving your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, emotional health? Like, you got to come out of this better. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to come out of this better. And that's the important piece, right? Mental health is so important. You can't sit, there's a lot of people that don't have jobs, right? There's a lot of people that they lost family members. I firmly believe that there's a blessing and a silver lining in every situation. It's all about perspective. It's all about how we look at things. Like, how can I grow from this experience? What am I supposed to learn during this particular time? What business am I supposed to? I lost my job, but what business am I supposed to learn? But you can't discover that, or you can't identify that if you're not in tune with yourself. So like, this pandemic, it's a terrible thing. It's a horrific thing. But again, how are we handling handling this pandemic in this particular time, in this particular season.
Yeah, and I think there was an aspect of, for those of you who attempted or want to attempt a business venture or something new, just maybe a new type of meditation or writing a book, whatever it is. We were previously distracted by a lot of things. Take electronics out of it. There's just life happening at such a fast pace, and for possibly the only time in our lifetimes, maybe might happen again, we're completely not out of this, that time will stand still for this short period of time. And I really do believe the tables are going to turn for the people who've been paying attention, who have been preparing, and have been taking advantage of this time, are going to surpass all the folks who started this whole thing maybe at the top, but have not made any growth or transition during that time period. And I'm telling you, there's something about this time period. I feel almost like there's a magnetic force. And when I go back to the distractions, I'm talking about even distractions that we create in our own heads. A lot of times people, Friday nights, I want to go hang out with my friends, or Saturday nights, I want to go hang out with my friends because of FOMO, fear of missing out. And now you don't even have that excuse, right? Everyone's home for the most part. Obviously, unless you're, an essential, employee or worker or whatever, but mostly you have time now, and there's something about it, man. I don't know if anyone else can agree or talk about. There is a magnetic force in a very short period of time that it can go one way or the other. And I'm trying to make it for myself, my family, those around me, make it be one of positivity. I feel like the tables are going to turn, and they are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all definitely. It's all about the energy, right? It's all about, the energy. It's all about becoming better. It's all about, finding that peace and that balance. And man, the same thing with me. I got so many ideas, man, but I'm up and down the road. I'm here, I'm there. But, like I said, that first week, man, like, I'm not going to say that I was depressed, but I was like, my first mindset was like I said, man, I hope they lift this thing by mid-April. I can still fit it in. Like, literally, I had just started a contract up in North Jersey, and then I had acquired another one in North Jersey, and it was another one that I was about to start down in South Jersey. So it was like, but again, you can't be focused on that. It's like, all right, that's gone, it's done with, refocus. How can I prepare myself if this thing lifts or if it doesn't lift? Like you said, like, I'm excited. The biggest thing that I'm excited about is I'm the only provider that's still providing services. So again, I'm doing it because I love it. But here's the thing, guys. Again, not only am I showing that I'm expanding my brand, right? Okay, they already know what I can do when I come into schools. They already know, how I can connect when I come into schools. Now that I'm able to connect virtually, that adds a whole nother dimension to my business. That adds more value to it. So even if the schools open up in September, and it's a possibility that they might, because I think that Murphy in Jersey said something about that we can have graduations in July. I don't know how we're going to do this, but that's a sign to me that that we may be opening back up in September. But if that was the case, I can still go and I could talk to schools and, the local schools, whatever. But now, again, because I'm able to offer a virtual service, I can offer like a kickoff assembly, and I can do a mass Zoom, and it may not be able to charge what I charge when I do assemblies, but I can charge, and I can even do like a membership, like a yearly membership for schools, where it's like the park exam. It's not park, it's NJSLA in Jersey. That's the standardized test where it's like a pep rally format. I can get everybody on here with the DJ and activities and stuff like that. If the schools are not open, I can do a school kickoff where, I could be on the screen. We see it all the time. Like, this pandemic is going to change the way, it's already changed the way that we're going to live. It's not going to be the same anymore. I don't know quite how it's going to be. I'm not going to say that it's going to be like totally different, but we're going to be operating in a different manner now. You know, so like you said, those that aren't able to adapt, they're going to be lost. They're going to be lost. So I'm most excited about that, you know, about perfecting that. Today was the first day that I was doing Zoom. I found a new program. And then what I found out was I was able to stream on the Facebook Live, and I could stream to my YouTube page. Now the other component is now that I can build my following. You see how I'm thinking about the pandemic? Now what I can do is when I do my Zoom calls, if I reach the capacity of participants, I could direct them directly to my YouTube channel, and I can start to get the views, and that could be something monetarily. You know, so all these different things I'm discovering, I'm researching, but it's because I got time. It's like, how can I do this better? Every week, how can I do this better? Again, every week, how can I be better? You know what I'm saying? Like I get up in the morning, I read my Bible plans. I got like 4 dudes that I read this Bible plan with. You know, like that's my process. I get up early, I pray, I do my Bible plan. You know, I do my workout, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's push-ups, dips, whatever. I'm working on a holistic approach for me so I can be healthy, you know, from a mental standpoint, a physical standpoint, a spiritual standpoint, you know, and that's important. And when you're healthy in those areas, you're able to think clearer. When you're healthy in those areas, you got more energy. When you're healthy in those areas, your creative juices are flowing. Because let me tell you something, when you get up at 5 a.m. in the morning, yo, I hear totally different. Totally different. There's a quote, and I say this all the time: get a jump on the day before the day gets a jump on you. And what that simply means is, think about it. We sit up all night, we watch movies, we on social media, whatever we do at night, whatever we do. There's no sports, so we can't sit there and watch a West Coast game. Yeah. But we get to bed at a decent hour. We get up early. We're able to do whatever our routine is, whether it's praying, whether it's Bible playing, whether it's working out, whether it's meditating, whatever it is, whatever your routine is, your to-do list. Think about what you're going to do during the course of the day. You're getting a jump on the day before a jump gets on you. By the time you start working, when everybody starts getting up, yo, like you've been up for an hour and a half, 2 hours, getting it, focused, charged up, ready to crush the day. But what if you're the person that stay up? What if you're the person that puts value on sleep and you get up late, the alarm clock goes off, you hit the snooze button, now you're getting up. The day got to jump on you at this point because you didn't read your Bible plan. You really didn't really focus. You might still pray, but you're going to zip through the prayer. You know, you may not have time to do that to-do list. You might have to start cooking for the kids. You may have to get the kids situated for school. The day has already gotten a jump on you. So this is what, you know, when we're thinking about this, right? We're talking about habits. In the midst of this pandemic, we got to change. We should be changing bad habits. Bad habits. You know, I think that what they say is it's 21 days to break a habit or develop a habit, good or bad. And it's 90 days to develop a lifestyle. So right now, we should be breaking habits. We should be developing better habits. And by 90 days, when we roll around in June, we should have a lifestyle. We should have a lifestyle of getting up earlier. We should have a lifestyle because we've already identified that when I get up early, I'm more productive. When I get up early, I'm creative. When I get up early, I'm sharper and I'm able to be better. But if we still doing the same thing, like we're not getting better, right? We're not taking advantage of now.
That's right. And there's something to be said about the power of behavior. The power of behavior can be developed and ascertained through the development of, as you're saying, habits, especially really good habits. Explain a little bit about influence and leadership during a pandemic.
Yeah, man. I think the influence and leadership is right now, from an influence standpoint, we need to think about, like, so who do we have influence over? So those of us that are married, or those of us that have significant others, or those of us that have children, right? Those of us that live in our house, that's the first step as far as influence. Getting up early, getting things done, and being organized. leading by example. Like that influence, it's not about words. It's about actions. It's about, because it's about, people seeing you walk that thing out, seeing your lifestyle, right? So I think that's the first layer of influence. I think it's in terms of leadership, it's the same thing. Like I'm getting up early, I'm taking care of business, you're modeling that, you're not staying up, like, obviously you got to have balance. I'm not saying that you can't stay up late or whatever, but you got to have balance. I'm not saying that you got to get up early every morning, but maybe you get up early Monday through Friday, or maybe you get up early Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, whatever the routine is, but you're establishing something. Or maybe, when everybody's being lazy, whatever, rather than you just sit in the house because nobody want to go out. Nobody want to go out for a walk for your exercise. You go out for a walk for yourself. Lead by example. You got to model the development, the mental development, the physical development, the emotional development, and the mental development. You got to model that thing. Maybe the kids on the video games all day. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe what that means is them not seeing you on social media. How can you tell them to stay off of social media, but you're constantly on your phone or whatever? Maybe they need to see you reading. Maybe they need to see you working out. Maybe they need to wake up and see you already downstairs working. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the leadership is as far as about the house. In terms of, leadership, that's all. That's my only focus. That's my only focus. The people in my immediate focus. I do a lot of things with my son and my fiance's son, where, like, for example, it might be a video. Like a couple of weeks ago, Inky Johnson, powerful, motivational speaker. I encourage those that are listening to check out, to Google Inky Johnson or go to YouTube. Powerful, to listen to Inky Johnson.
Great story.
What did you get out of that? Tell me, and how can you apply that to your life right now? It doesn't matter if you 11, doesn't matter if you 10. Like, what did you get out of it? How can you apply this in your life right now? You know what I'm saying? So that's the leadership and the charge or whatever, as far as, just demonstrating how you could be better.
Absolutely. Positively influencing the youth. And what's funny with everybody, being home, you can't really make things up because everyone's there watching you.
Yeah.
I give the classic example of if there was a cameraman following you, all throughout the day, and we're trying to make a movie out of you or something inspiring, are people going to be inspired and motivated by the video at the end of the week, or are they going to be disappointed, and just not satisfied with the product? Are you going to be embarrassed? Well, now a lot of times everyone's kind of caught in a crossfire, because if you were a hustler, or if you were a creative person or making things happen, what's stopping you now? You just got to get more creative. You just got to make adjustments. This happens in business all the time, not this specific pandemic, but issues that stop you. There's laws that they implement that completely demolish business models, right? There's rules and regulations that are changing on a yearly basis that completely demolish business models. So this happens, this level of adjustment happens on a yearly basis. So this is just a test. Like I say before, it's not, the obstacles aren't really put in your way to stop you. That's your decision if you want them to stop you. They're put in your way to challenge you, to really test you, see how bad you truly wanted it in the first place.
Right.
Explain how, me and my brother Goose, we're huge in Gabe, and heck, we're huge in dream building. Growing up, we used to do the classic, let's drive to, our dream home or something like it, and we'll build something bigger. And, we're constantly tagging each other on, like crazy supercars or beautiful homes or whatever. Just all kinds of stuff, actually. But, how has that changed for you?
Well, it really hasn't. I think if anything, I'm diving into it more. To be honest, during this pandemic, and it's funny, man, because, you talked about how you, Gabe, Miguel are, man, I'm like that also. And I was having a conversation with one of my boys, man. It's not a lot of people that think the way that we do, that are caught up and thirsty to achieve and to reach and reach their dreams. I call it dream language, right? I know I remember like it was yesterday. I wasn't a big Kobe fan. I always thought, I'm a LeBron fan, number one, and most of the time when you got LeBron fans, they're anti-Kobe. He was great, but it was his attitude. But then when he passed, and they were showing all of these videos and clips and stuff like that, like I remember driving on the highway, and I remember being in tears. It's funny because like you guys got this podcast. And people, I'm sure you get compliments all the time. Yo, y'all doing your thing or whatever. But you know that you can go hard. You know that there's more to do. People look at, what we accomplish in our success, but they don't see the dream that we see. Like where we are right now, it's nothing compared to where we're going. And I think for us that speak that dream language, like listening to that Kobe Bryant clip, like I was in tears because people look at me and be like, yo, you go hard, and I do. But I know only if you're going as hard as you can. Right. Only if you're really utilizing your time properly. Only if you are putting in the maximum work. And when I listen to that Mamba mentality and stuff like that, man, I felt convicted. I was like, I got more in me. I'm not giving it all. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it really hasn't changed. With this pandemic, it's definitely slowed down. And I'm very conscious about how I spend my time, because time is the most valuable currency. We can make money, but we can't get time back. So I'm very strategic and intentional about how I spend my time. When I was ripping and running, I did a lot of stuff the last minute. And although it may look good to everybody else, it can be better if you prepare and if you do and you're not rushing. So there's a lot of tweaks and different things that I started to do. I'm still really, motivating myself, because as a motivator, we need motivation also. It's almost like a pastor. When you're constantly pouring into people, you get depleted. You need to be poured into so you can stay recharged and vitalized and continue to run your race and live this thing that we call life.
Absolutely. Well said. All right. So if people wanted to, reach out to you, how could they reach you? What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
And they can reach me at info@algernonhall.com if you're just interested in just from a purpose or a dream coach perspective. If you're an educator, info@JubileeKidsWithAZ.com. And if you want to follow me on social media, Algernon_Hall @Algernon_Hall. That's also the my Twitter as well. You can follow me on Facebook at Algernon Hall. And I think the last thing is YouTube. You can follow me on YouTube. I'm posting up some videos now. Algernon Hall.
Awesome. Do you have any closing words for the listeners?
And only words that I pretty much have for you guys, man, is just take advantage of now. Take advantage of now. Do whatever it is that you need to do to get into that space where you can create. Do whatever it is that you need to do to get into that space where you can be courageous. Do whatever it is that you need to do to eliminate distractions, because now is the time. Now is the time for those that are able to adapt. Now is the time for those that are able to create. Now is the time for those that are able to solve problems. That's all I got, fellas.
I love it, man. Thanks for joining us, bro. We appreciate you as usual. Absolutely. All right, we'll close out with quotes. The first one by Ken Blanchard. The key to successful leadership today is influence, not authority. The second one by Deepak Chopra. Our minds influence the key activity of the brain, which then influences everything: perception, cognition, thoughts and feelings, personal relationships, They're all a projection of you. Influence Part 2. In this episode, we have special guest Algernon Hall. We cover topics that range from leadership, dream building, influencing the youth, effects of the coronavirus, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Deepak Chopra and Ken Blanchard.
Awesome. Guys, thanks again for joining us. The Rotated Views podcast was produced for self-development purposes. Huge shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Blessed Lifestyle brand. That is BL3SSED.com. Also sponsored by The Motivation Files Unleashed. This motivational mixtape will be your fuel for success. Available on all platforms. Guys, don't forget to visit the website, JimmyleeVelez.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rotated Views. If you have any inquiries or questions, email us at info@JimmyleeVelez.com. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, we wish you massive success. Stay blessed.